Revealed. Princess Leonor's secret letter to Crown Prince Christian, royal romance exposed in emotional message that changes everything. Welcome to B News. What would drive a future queen to pour her heart out in a letter to a future king? On October 27, 2025, the world was stunned by revelations of a deeply personal, emotionally charged letter reportedly written by Princess Leonor of Spain to Crown Prince Christian of Denmark, a communication so intimate and heartfelt that it has ignited speculation about a potential royal romance that could reshape European monarchy. This isn't just another piece of royal gossip, this is a story about two young heirs to ancient thrones, both navigating the impossible pressures of destiny, duty, and desire in the unforgiving spotlight of 21st-century media scrutiny. What did Leonor write in this letter that has palace insiders buzzing and royal watchers across the globe analyzing every word? What connection exists between these two future monarchs that would inspire such vulnerability and emotional honesty? And could we be witnessing the beginning of a love story that will define European royalty for generations to come? Before we dive deep into this explosive revelation that has everyone talking, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now and smash the notification bell so you never miss our exclusive royal coverage. If you're as intrigued as millions of others by this potential royal romance, show your support by hitting that like button. Let's get this video to 15,000 likes and prove that modern fairy tales still captivate the world. Drop a comment below telling us whether you think Leonor and Christian would make the perfect royal couple. To fully understand the magnitude and significance of Princess Leonor's reported letter to Crown Prince Christian, we must first explore who these two remarkable young people are, the extraordinary paths they've walked, and the unique bond that may have formed between them despite the hundreds of miles that separate their kingdoms. Princess Leonor de Borbón y Ortiz, born on October 31, 2005, is the eldest daughter of King Felipe VI and Queen Letizia of Spain and the heir presumptive to the Spanish throne. From the moment of her birth, Leonor has carried the weight of history on her shoulders. She is destined to become Spain's first queen regnant since Isabella II, who ruled from 1833 to 1868. Growing up in the Zarzuela Palace in Madrid, Leonor has been carefully prepared for her future role through rigorous education, language training, and gradual introduction to royal duties and public life. Those who know the princess describe her as intelligent, thoughtful, and remarkably mature for her age, possessing a quiet confidence and sense of purpose that belies her youth. Her education has been international in scope. She attended the UWC Atlantic College in Wales, following in the footsteps of several European royals, where she completed her international baccalaureate while living among students from around the world. Most recently, she has been pursuing military training at the General Military Academy of Zaragoza, understanding that as future commander-in-chief of Spain's armed forces, she must comprehend military culture and earn the respect of those she will one day lead. Crown Prince Christian of Denmark, born on October 15, 2005, just 2 weeks before Princess Leonor, represents the future of the Danish monarchy and the continuation of the House of Glucksburg's rule over Denmark. As the eldest child of King Frederick X and Queen Mary, Christian has grown up in the public eye, documented from his first moments through countless public appearances, school milestones, and royal ceremonies. Unlike some royal children who are shielded from public life until adulthood, Christian has been gradually integrated into official duties from a young age, learning through observation and participation what it means to be a working royal in a modern constitutional monarchy. His personality, as revealed through public appearances and reports from those who know him, suggests a young man who is both aware of his destiny and determined to forge his own path within the constraints that destiny imposes. Christian recently completed his studies at Ordrup Gymnasium in Copenhagen and has been exploring various interests including sports, outdoor activities, and beginning to understand the complex diplomatic and ceremonial roles that will define his adult life. Those close to the Danish royal family describe Christian as thoughtful, environmentally conscious, and increasingly aware of the enormous responsibility that awaits him when he eventually succeeds his father as Denmark's king. The parallel paths walked by Princess Leonor and Crown Prince Christian have created numerous opportunities for these two future monarchs to encounter one another, and it is within these encounters that the seeds of their reported connection were apparently sown. European royal families, despite ruling separate nations, exist within an interconnected web of relationships, traditions, and shared experiences that create bonds across borders. Royal children often meet at official state visits, family weddings, milestone celebrations, and increasingly at educational institutions that cater specifically to royalty and aristocracy. Both Leonor and Christian have attended various royal gatherings throughout their youth, including several that brought together young European royals for cultural exchange and relationship building. One particularly significant encounter reportedly occurred during a private gathering of young European royals in 2023, organized to foster connections among the next generation of monarchs and to provide a rare space where these young people, who face such unique pressures and expectations, could interact with others who truly understand their singular position in life. Sources who attended this gathering describe Leonor and Christian as having developed an immediate rapport, engaging in long conversations about their experiences, their educations, their hopes and fears about the futures they cannot escape, and their determination to modernize and humanize the monarchies they will inherit. The timing of Princess Leonor's reported letter to Crown Prince Christian is significant and reveals much about the emotional state and current circumstances of both young royals. October 2025 finds both Leonor and Christian at transitional moments in their lives, no longer children but not yet fully adults, increasingly visible in public life but still somewhat protected from the full weight of royal responsibility, and grappling with the profound questions that define late adolescence and early adulthood: who am I? What do I want? How do I balance duty with desire? For Leonor specifically, the timing may be connected to recent developments in her military training and her growing awareness that her relatively protected youth is rapidly ending. As she approaches her 20th birthday on October 31, 2025, just days away from when this letter was reportedly written, Leonor is confronting the reality that the next decade will bring her increasingly into public life, with mounting expectations for her to begin taking on more significant royal duties, to demonstrate her readiness for eventual queenship, and inevitably to navigate questions about her personal life, relationships, and eventual marriage. In this context, reaching out to Christian, someone who understands her position in ways that virtually no one else can, makes profound emotional sense. According to sources who claim to have knowledge of the letter's contents, Princess Leonor's message to Crown Prince Christian was remarkable for its emotional vulnerability and honest acknowledgement of the unique challenges they both face as future monarchs. While the exact text of the letter remains private, and should remain so, as it represents personal communication between two young people entitled to some degree of privacy despite their public roles, the reported themes and tone have been described by those with knowledge of the correspondence. Leonor allegedly wrote about the increasing isolation she feels as she grows older and the weight of expectation becomes heavier. She reportedly expressed to Christian her admiration for how he has handled the recent public controversies surrounding his father, King Frederick, noting that Christian's grace under pressure and his apparent determination not to let family drama define his own identity demonstrated exactly the kind of emotional maturity and wisdom that their generation of royals will need. The letter allegedly touched on Leonor's fears about losing herself in the role of queen, about becoming merely a symbol rather than a fully realized human being with authentic relationships and genuine emotional connections. Most poignantly, sources suggest that Leonor wrote about the comfort she takes in knowing that Christian exists, someone her own age, facing similar challenges, who might understand the peculiar loneliness of being born to wear a crown. The revelation of this letter's existence has ignited intense speculation about the nature of the relationship between Princess Leonor and Crown Prince Christian, with royal watchers, gossip columnists, and everyday observers debating whether this communication represents budding romance, deep friendship, or simply the natural connection between two young people in unique circumstances. Those who argue for a romantic interpretation point to several factors. The emotional vulnerability reportedly displayed in the letter suggests a level of trust and intimacy that typically characterizes romantic rather than merely friendly relationships. Both Leonor and Christian are single and at ages when romantic relationships typically begin to develop, and there is undeniable romantic appeal in the narrative of two future monarchs from different kingdoms finding love and understanding in each other. The historical precedents for royal romance across borders are numerous and storied. Countless European royal marriages have united different houses and nations, creating both political alliances and genuine love matches. A union between the future Queen of Spain and the future King of Denmark would be politically uncomplicated, as the two nations have friendly relations with no conflicting interests, and would appeal to the romantic imagination of people who still believe in fairy tale endings despite living in our cynical age. However, others caution against rushing to romantic conclusions and suggest that the letter might represent something equally valuable but different: a profound friendship between two young people who understand each other's unique position in ways that almost no one else can. In this interpretation, Leonor's letter to Christian represents not romantic overture but rather the kind of authentic connection and mutual support that people in high-pressure, high-visibility positions desperately need. Consider the extraordinary isolation that comes with being born to be a monarch, there are fewer than a dozen people in Leonor and Christian's generation who will inherit thrones, meaning the pool of people who truly understand their experience is vanishingly small. In this context, finding even one person who comprehends the specific pressures, expectations, and existential questions that come with being a future monarch represents an invaluable gift, regardless of whether romantic feelings are involved. Some psychologists who specialize in the experiences of people in unique high-pressure roles note that platonic friendships between people in similar situations can be just as emotionally intense and significant as romantic relationships, providing support, understanding, and validation that are difficult to find elsewhere. The reaction from the Spanish and Danish royal courts to news of this letter has been carefully managed and deliberately ambiguous, reflecting the delicate balance these institutions must strike between protecting the privacy of young royals and managing public curiosity and media narratives. The Spanish royal household, through unofficial channels and background briefings rather than official statements, has neither confirmed nor denied the existence of Leonor's letter to Christian, instead emphasizing that the princess is focused on her military training and education and that she maintains friendly relationships with many young European royals. This carefully neutral response suggests that palace officials are trying to avoid either validating speculation that might create unwanted pressure on Leonor or denying it so forcefully that they appear to be protesting too much. The Danish royal household has taken a similar approach, with sources close to King Frederick and Queen Mary suggesting that Christian has indeed developed friendships with several young European royals, including Princess Leonor, and that the family supports these connections as valuable for Christian's development and future role. Neither palace has addressed whether the relationship between Leonor and Christian might be developing into something more than friendship, leaving that question tantalizingly unanswered and allowing public imagination to fill in the gaps. The media coverage of this story has varied dramatically across different outlets and national contexts, revealing much about how different cultures approach royal coverage and how journalistic standards regarding privacy and speculation differ across borders. Spanish media, traditionally somewhat deferential to the royal family but increasingly willing to cover controversy and personal stories, has generally treated the letter revelation with a mixture of romantic enthusiasm and protective concern for Leonor's privacy. Many Spanish outlets have framed the story as heartwarming evidence that their future queen is a normal young woman capable of forming connections and expressing emotions, while simultaneously warning foreign media against excessive intrusion into Leonor's personal life. Danish media has been somewhat more restrained, reflecting both Danish cultural values around privacy and the media's generally respectful relationship with the royal family. Danish coverage has tended to focus less on romantic speculation and more on the broader phenomenon of young European royals forming supportive networks with one another, a development that many commentators view as positive and healthy given the unique pressures these young people face. British tabloids, predictably, have been the most sensational in their coverage, with headlines screaming about royal romance, secret love affairs, and comparisons to historic royal couples, often with minimal regard for factual accuracy or the subject's privacy. The public reaction to news of Princess Leonor's letter has been overwhelmingly positive across both Spain and Denmark, with most people expressing either delight at the possibility of royal romance or appreciation for the friendship between these two future monarchs. Social media has exploded with discussion of Leonor and Christian, or the hashtag Leonor and Christian, with fans creating artwork imagining the two together, speculating about what their hypothetical children might look like, and discussing the political and ceremonial implications of a potential union. Interestingly, rather than the nationalist resistance one might expect, "Our future king should marry one of our own," the dominant response seems to be enthusiasm for the European dimension of this potential relationship. Many commentators have noted that a romantic relationship or eventual marriage between Leonor and Christian would symbolize European unity and cooperation in an era when nationalism and division have been on the rise. Some have even suggested, somewhat fancifully, that such a union could eventually lead to some form of unified Iberian-Scandinavian monarchy, though this seems politically and constitutionally far-fetched. More realistically, people seem to simply enjoy the narrative of young royals finding connection with each other in an increasingly cynical and divided world. The implications of this developing relationship, whether romantic or platonic, extend far beyond the personal happiness of two young people and touch on fundamental questions about the future of European monarchy and the role of royal marriages in contemporary politics and culture. Historically, royal marriages served crucial political functions, creating alliances between nations, resolving conflicts, and building networks of family connection that stabilized Europe's complex political landscape. In the modern era, With political alliances determined by democratic governments rather than royal relationships, the function of royal marriages has shifted dramatically. Today, royal unions are primarily symbolic and cultural rather than political. They represent ideals, model relationships for their populations, and provide occasions for national celebration and unity. However, the symbolic power of royal relationships remains significant. A union between Princess Leonor and Crown Prince Christian would carry enormous symbolic weight, representing not just the joining of two individuals but the connection between Spanish and Danish peoples, between Mediterranean and Nordic cultures, between different traditions of monarchy and different visions of Europe's future. Such symbolism, while perhaps less tangible than the political alliances of past centuries, still matters in shaping how people understand their relationships to other nations and cultures. The educational and developmental paths that both Leonor and Christian are currently navigating will significantly influence how and whether their relationship develops in the coming years. Both young royals are at crucial stages of personal development, building the knowledge, skills, and experiences that will serve them throughout their lives and particularly in their future roles as monarchs. Princess Leonor's military training at the General Military Academy of Zaragoza represents a deliberate choice by the Spanish royal family to ensure their future queen understands military culture and can credibly serve as commander-in-chief. This training is demanding, time-consuming, and requires focus and commitment that leave little room for other pursuits. Following her military training, Leonor is expected to pursue university education, likely focusing on subjects relevant to her future roles such as history, political science, law, or international relations. This educational path will occupy the next several years of her life and will likely involve periods of intense study and limited personal freedom. Crown Prince Christian, similarly, faces important educational and developmental decisions. About his immediate future, having completed his secondary education in Denmark, Christian must now determine what kind of additional education and training he will pursue before taking on more significant royal duties. Options might include university study, military service, internships with international organizations or Danish businesses, or some combination of these experiences designed to prepare him for kingship. The question of how Leonor and Christian might maintain and develop their relationship despite the demands of their respective educational paths and royal responsibilities reveals the unique challenges faced by young royals trying to form authentic personal connections. Unlike most young people their age, Leonor and Christian cannot simply text constantly, video chat whenever they want, or make spontaneous plans to meet up. Every interaction must be carefully planned and officially sanctioned, fitting within the rigid schedules of royal life and the security requirements.